Good morning, Muskegon. This is EyeOnMuskegon, and I'm Jim Riley here in Muskegon's Clear Channel studios with my engineer, the legendary Oscar Osbo. And we welcome all of you in radio, computer, smartphone, and podcast land to EyeOnMuskegon. We are Muskegon's only political talk radio show. And remember this fact, even if you don't live here in Muskegon County, you need to listen to and to appreciate this show, because what happens in Muskegon doesn't stay in Muskegon. What happens in Muskegon may very well be happening in your county, your city, or your township, anywhere in our blessed country. And we're the show that values your input, so give us a call right now. Our phone number is 231-830-3109. That's 830-3109. Today's October 2nd, and my guest is arguably the most powerful woman in the entire county, Muskegon County Administrator Bonnie Hammersley. Good morning, Administrator Hammersley, and thank you for joining us at EyeOnMuskegon.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Nothing more fun than getting up in the morning on a Sunday morning and coming to talk radio with someone who's a known Tea Party member. But we do appreciate you being here. How about telling our audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you said, I'm Bonnie Hammersley. I'm the Muskegon County Administrator. I've been in Muskegon for 2.5 years. I came to Muskegon from Madison, Wisconsin, Dane County. I was with Dane County for 21 years. I have been most of my career, or the majority of my career, has been in county government. I live here with my husband and 2 dogs. I have come to appreciate and love Muskegon County, and that's about it about me.
We're going to get a little more than that.
Yeah.
Actually, one thing that certainly will get probably double our ratings overnight is what kind of dogs?
I have a beagle and a dog that I got at the Cocker Rescue. I thought it was going to be a Cocker Spaniel, but it's a mutt.
Okay, cool. Well,
yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
Good for you.
Yes.
Now, you have you came from Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes.
And how long had you lived in that area or the state of Wisconsin?
I born and raised in Wisconsin. I lived in a little tiny town called Rio, R-I-O, about 30 miles from Madison, Wisconsin, north. It's a bedroom community. Most of the people that live in Rio work in Madison, and I moved to Madison after I graduated from high school, so I've been there many years.
So you've grown up and literally did everything behind the cheddar curtain.
I did.
This is.
I did.
Could you possibly be a spy from that?
Yeah.
From Cheddarland? I notice you're not wearing a cheese head, so
no, I don't even have one of those. So.
All righty. Well, we're glad to have you here. And although it would have been cooler if you'd come in with a cheese head, or I guess it's a cheese hat. I'm not sure. Nonetheless,
it's a head hat.
We want to. We would have made a great photo. But we are here to talk about county governance, and you are the county administrator. And county governance is primarily spending money. It's spending tax dollars, or in the event we've run out of dollars, borrowing or promising when the money isn't available. And obviously that is important because a well-managed county will be able to provide the necessary services to the taxpayers of the county without burdening them with high taxes or unfunded pension or health care costs or subpar service. And we don't want any of those things if we can avoid it. Now, I'm going to try not to be too tough on you, and I don't think I will be, but it has been the policy of our county board chairman, Ken Mahoney, that any questions that are asked by citizens during public meetings don't necessarily have to be answered. As a matter of fact, it's a policy that while citizens can get up and make a statement or ask a question, but the policy generally has been not to respond to citizen questions. So this is a time when us little guys and gals get a chance to get some answers.
Okay.
And we appreciate that. All right, first question. We talked about a little of this before the show. I have heard with my own ears, and many other people have told me the same, that some county commissioners have said that they essentially have no power over how the county is run. That you, the county administrator, calls the shots. And by the way, it's not just you. That their view is that the county administrator, whoever it may be, but you call the shots, and they must simply agree to support you. What do you say to that?
I would say that I'm hired by the county commissioners. I serve at the pleasure of the county commissioners, and my role is to develop for and recommend policy. However, my goal is to implement policies that the county board has made. I believe that my role as a county administrator is to serve the employees of the county as well as the county commissioners. I believe that I inform, that is my role, is to keep them well informed on all issues so that they can have well-informed decisions. I partner with department directors throughout the county on the best approach to how county government should be run. They are the experts. I'm not an expert in every area of county government. I facilitate county government process, and I present to the board for their approval motions that will basically have me implement them once they're approved.
So the comments that I've heard county commissioners make, that they effectively are helpless little puppies or kittens in the face of this juggernaut from Wisconsin, it's not true. In other words, they essentially tell you what to do, then you essentially do what you are told to do, directed by the county commissioners.
I wouldn't say it was that simplistic. I would say that I am bringing forth recommendations to them, and they vote as to whether that will be the process. From someone's perspective, it could appear that the county administrator was running, but I can't do anything without their permission.
So, in other words, if you come up with an idea and you push it, they ultimately vote for it or not, correct?
Correct.
You don't have the ability to fire a county commissioner, do you?
No, I do not.
But they have the ability to fire you.
Yes, they do.
Seems to me that the power is pretty clear there. All right, well, thank you for clearing that up. Next time a county commissioner suggests that they're a little baby puppy, I'll give them a cookie and tell them to grow up. Let's talk about the makeup of the county board that you report to. It seems to be a pretty harmonious group, especially this new group. No spats that I've seen, no barking. Pardon the pun there. But in fact, they must be pretty satisfied with what you have been presenting to them, because they essentially vote as a block on just about every single issue that comes up, and almost every single of the important issues, which would be the spending issues on the union and non-union employee contracts and hiring of new employees or contracts for new employees. They tend to vote 11-0 or occasionally 10-1. But as a group, it's a pretty harmonious group. What do you think of that? Is that good?
I think that I think that it's good that they work together. It's always my goal as an administrator to keep them informed, and by keeping them informed, I think that they all have an opportunity to ahead of time think about the issues, check in with me on the issues. The issues have been there isn't a lot of debate when there isn't a lot of flexibility on some of the issues. And that's I guess that's what I would say on that. Okay.
Well, one of the things that I've noticed when I went back and I looked at the voting records of the various county commissioners over the last, I think, just the 3 years that I've been able to research, is that the biggest spending that the county does, at least from its discretionary account, is on the union and non-union employee contracts. That's 70 to 80% of all spending. So that's big stuff. And with one lone exception that I've been able to find, when Commissioner Alan Jagger voted against the union contract back in February, but every time aside from that, when there has been a union contract that has come before the county board, they have voted 11-0 in favor of those contracts. So if you're a union supporter, then it's very comfortable to vote for a Democrat on the county commission. And if you are a union supporter, it's very comfortable knowing that you're going to have your union ideals held up to vote for a Republican, because the Republicans and Democrats really don't vote any differently from each other on these very important 70 to 80% of the spending issues. Do you think that's healthy for the county?
The county board guides the process, gives me information as to what they want done in the bargaining, what our goals are in bargaining with the unions. Do I think it's healthy? I think that some of these issues have to be done in closed session because of laws, and in regards to bargaining, we can't, when we're in the process of bargaining, we can't bring that out into the open because then it doesn't help our side of the bargaining. Do I think it's healthy? I think that it's the most current one. I think that it was the best that we could really do. I think it was a win for the county in regards to reducing our base expenditures because of the resource issues we're facing. I think that the unions and all the employees in Muskegon County recognize that and agreed to concessions.
We're going to come back to the unions in a bit, but the Mackinac Center has called this bunch of contracts that were recently signed Cadillac health plans, and we will come back to that. But their view tends to be from the business outlook. How is our county viewed, do you think? Because you must talk with business people from outside the county and certainly inside the county. But how is our county viewed by business leaders who are considering maybe moving to Muskegon, moving to West Michigan, or expanding in West Michigan, when the board essentially 100% of the time votes for the pro-union side of the issue?
Could you repeat that question?
Sure,
I'm sorry.
sure. Needless to say, business leaders are not enamored with unions generally. Certainly the unions in Michigan have been sometimes a hindrance to business growth. What have business people told you when they see that our county commissioners, even though we do have 4 Republicans and 7 Democrats, but they vote as a group, so there really isn't any difference between those commissioners when it comes to the real important thing, which is voting and spending. In terms, they've sided very solidly and very consistently with the union side of the equation, at least for the last 10 years.
I can only speak to the last 3 years, 2.5 years.
Okie doke.
And in speaking to that, it was to break down the silo of non-bargaining and bargaining. And so with this last effort that went forward with benefits and compensation plans for employees, there wasn't any difference between what the non-bargaining was going to be offered as well as the bargaining. And that was my recommendation to the board before we went in and started bargaining with the unions. My role in bargaining with the unions is the same as non-bargaining. The only thing I see that the unions bring to the organization is that there is rules within the contract that we must follow. It's a structure that that encourages communication amongst management and labor.
Okay, but ultimately those contracts have to be paid for by the taxpayers. And we will talk about that a little more after the break. We'll be back with the most powerful woman in Muskegon County, County Administrator Bonnie Hammersley. Give us a call and join the discussion. Our number is 231-830-3109.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum government.
The Talkin' Muskegon program can now be heard live every morning, Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. here on News Talk 1090. This is John Van White.
And Brian Worsham. We will focus on community events, news, weather, and sports. We'll also bring you traffic updates, weekly segments like the movies with Ron Van Timmeren, the Biker Report, and Lumberjacks. This is Talkin' Muskegon right here, 8 to 9 a.m. on the Talk of Muskegon, News Talk 1090.
Neon, day glow, flashing lights, special effects. Today's world puts our sense of sight on overload. Luckily, there are places we can go to refocus our senses. Our national wildlife refuges. It's a wonder how much you'll see once all the distractions fade away. You may see a lone eagle soaring past massive snow-capped mountains, or a great horned owl perched stoically on a branch nearby. You may see the furry face of a baby sea otter curiously poking its head out of the dark blue sea, or ancient rocks shaped by centuries of wind. When you see these things, you're seeing the world the way we found it. With over 500 refuges across America, you don't have to go far to make a special connection with nature. Learn more at fws.gov/refuges. That's fws.gov/refuges.
A message from Orlando Bloom, Joel Madden, Nicole Ritchie, Neo, and Taya Leone.
24,000 children die every day from preventable causes.
Like not getting enough food or medicine.
Or clean, safe water to drink.
But we are gaining ground. A generation ago, twice as many children were dying.
Still, 24,000 every day?
I believe.
I believe.
I believe.
Believe.
I believe that number should be zero. Believe in zero.
Join the effort. Visit unicefusa.org.
The benefits outweigh any risk.
If you're concerned about radiation, ask your doctor and get the facts at imagegently.org.
News Talk 1090 is the talk of Muskegon.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum government.
Well, we are back at Eye on Muskegon with Muskegon County Administrator Bonnie Hammersley. And we're talking about our county, Muskegon. Give us a call at 231-830-3109. We want you to be on the radio. Okay, well, enjoyed talking with you about the commissioners and decision-making. But let's go to something else that is not, in the grand scheme of things, tremendously important, but it does, I believe, say much about the mindset of the commissioners. The commissioners earlier this year voted to have the county purchase laptops for themselves. And even though it didn't amount to much more than maybe $20,000, the commissioners spent more time talking about the free laptops than they did on these union contracts that we had just discussed. Actually, probably about 100 times more time discussing these laptops than they did the union contracts. Now, the commissioners, led primarily by Commissioner Bob Skolnick, spent parts of at least 3 full board meetings and most of one of the rare planning sessions talking about the need for county taxpayers to buy them personal computers and the software and the support for those computers. Now, when the word got out, the public was outraged, and even the Muskegon Chronicle came out on their editorial page, came out against the purchases. It just didn't look good. But as Bob's slogan says, Bob got the job done, and the commissioners voted to have the county purchase the computers. And here's the words that were in the official language. The quote, computers or other electronic devices for themselves. Now, the reason I mentioned Commissioner Skolnick is that in addition to being one of the most vocal of the bunch in support of taxpayer-supplied laptop computers for commissioners' use, Bob had actually brought into the commission meetings his nifty new computer and told everybody how wonderful it was, which is kind of cool. He showed everybody that hey, this is great, this is the future. I believe he called it, we've got to move into the 21st century. But an amazing thing happened. Once the vote happened, once it was all done, once all these meetings, all these discussions happened, no one ever brought a laptop computer into those meetings. Now, you know that I show up at most meetings, and I bring my little netbook with me. The wireless connection in that room, in that building, is just ducky. It's fabulous. But even those commissioners who already own laptops, as most have already admitted, most do have laptops of their own, they've never brought any in. Why do you think they spent so much time and effort on this issue? They won it in the face of public discontent. And then they essentially said, never mind. What happened? Did anybody communicate any of this to you? Are you wondering, where are we going to buy these laptops? Are you ready, got the order in?
It is up to the commissioners as to whether they want a laptop. The staff, upon direction from the commissioners, will order laptops if requested. I believe, and I can't speak for my commissioners, but I do believe that it was a vote that, although they may not be utilizing computers now, it was a vote for the future, giving the opportunity that as we move forward, that as a policy, commissioners will have the ability to get computers if needed.
Well, I'm looking at the specific verbiage of the vote. This is what they voted on, and just as a little aside, the only attorney on that board of commissioners is Commissioner John Snyder. He made the motion, and I was there when it happened. I also have the video of it, but his wordage was so garbled that the county attorney, Ted Williams, had to stop him and say, I have a problem with this wordage. So this is what they ultimately settled on. Quote, moved by Snyder, seconded by Engel, to authorize staff to purchase laptop or other electronic devices for the Muskegon County Board of Commissioners utilizing the board's flower fund. Now, that's pretty fuzzy. Does that mean that at any point from here until somebody changes it, so here on for the next 100 years, unless they come in and change this, that any county commissioner can walk in and say, I want you to buy me a laptop or other electronic device, let's say an iPad, which are, what are they, $700. Is that the way you read it? They walk in, they get it? No questions asked?
It's contingent on a flower fund, and a flower fund is a miscellaneous fund that is funded by the county commissioners with money from their paychecks. And so it's my reading of that is as long as there's a flower fund within the county commission's budget, that would continue, because that would be viewed as a policy that they've put in place.
It's essentially their own money, which has been mentioned.
Yes.
So my question is, why would they even bother bringing this up if it's their own money? Can't they spend it any way they want?
They can, but it does go through the county payroll system because it comes out of their paychecks. And so it's a fund within county government, and there needs to be, for any fund within county government, there needs to be authority from the commission to spend it. And because it's the commission's, it has to be determined how it will be spent amongst the commissioners.
Now, in earlier discussions about these laptops, there was talk that the county, outside of the flower fund, the county tax dollars would also pay for software, virus protection, and other consulting from provided, I would assume, either by the county or by someone the county would hire. Now, that's not mentioned here at all. So I'm assuming that is not part of it. I guess I would have to beyond assume it specifically isn't mentioned. So that would not be provided then, would it?
That is the software and the kind of the infrastructure behind those laptops operating. That would be something that would come through the IT department.
So you're saying that they did authorize funds. That, even though it's not listed here at all?
It's authorized because it already is authorized for all county employees to when the budget is passed, there's funds within the IT program to fund infrastructure expenses.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so they can get the computers, and still is there been a dollar amount put on this? Because software and consulting and computer experts can be really expensive.
I don't have the dollar amount in right off the top of my head.
Okay, well, we've got a call from Dan on line 2. So, Dan, go right ahead.
Yeah, my question is in regards to bid awards and that. Commissioner Jager stated last week that the rating system for bid awards can be skewed. What's being done to make it a better rating system, more equitable, more fair?
Commissioner Hammersley, or Administrator Hammersley. I just gave you a downgrade. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe you can answer that.
The purchasing practices for Muskegon County have been changed over the past couple years, and one of the goals with that is to have open and honest and competitive government for all of our bids. One of the elements of that is the evaluation of the bids. One of the areas that has been implemented, or the processes that has been implemented, is an evaluation panel, which would consist of individuals that are not directly related to the function that's being evaluated. One of that reason is because in many cases there's relationships with vendors, long-term relationships, and we want to open it up more so that it is more competitive. And the other is, a lot of times people that don't work real closely with something have new eyes and can implement and generate better questions along the way as we look at that. But the goal of Muskegon County is certainly to have open, honest, and competitive bidding on all government purchases.
Ted, does that answer your question?
Well, it's kind of curious because I understand that bid was just approved for a project for $150,000, yet the next lower bid was for $100,000. The difference between the two companies is one was a local company and one wasn't. And the local company at $150,000 got the award, and the out-of-county company at $100,000 didn't. And, if it had been a $5,000 difference, I wouldn't have cared. But when you're looking at $50,000, there's an issue.
This is more of a county commissioner decision, though, than from the administration, or not.
The county does not have a local preferential purchasing policy, so local is not a criteria at the evaluation. At the staff level, local is not a criteria as in the evaluation. However, those considerations can be, any bid can be reconsidered by the commission because they vote for them. However, I'm not familiar with this particular product, and if it was recommended by staff, it would not have been recommended because it's local, because we do not have local preferential purchasing policy at this time.
What you're going to need to do is check the websites, the county's website, and you can go to my blogs, which we'll talk about later in the show, and find out who voted for that purchase, and remember in November. That's the only way our voice can be heard.
I'll just talk to my commissioner because we're on pretty good basis.
Good. So. It's wonderful. Give them a call. Matter of fact, I'd like to hear what their response is. Thanks so much for the call. Okay. Now we're back with Bonnie, and I hate to beat the laptop thing to death, but you just told me that it refuses to die. That's news to me that this is that these few very poorly crafted words mean purchases in perpetuity and support and software paid for by the taxpayer in perpetuity. That, I must say, that offends me, but that's not your call. It's the county commissioner's call, and we'll let them defend that in November. But one of the main reasons for the purchase of the laptops, as stated by many folks, was that the return on investment, in other words, the investment in these laptops, would be 2 to 3 years. And there was a spreadsheet that came out there. But the biggest savings that were expected to come from the laptops was in postage, because the county mails out significant amounts of stuff to the county commissioners every week, and the printing of that. So those two things would be saved. Now, the commissioners are in the building twice a week. Why are we mailing them anything?
Many times we're mailing agendas for the meetings because the timing of the meetings and the timing of when the agendas go out does not always correlate with them being in the building. And our goal is always to get them their agendas prior to the meetings.
Okay, but I can appreciate that there's certainly emergency stuff that has to go out. You just found out yesterday they have to have it. But given that there was a significant, a lot of people were talking about, the environment and energy savings and savings to the county. Wouldn't it make sense for the bulk of those things that were not time sensitive, most of which I know is already online, that a county commissioner could easily come up to you and say, don't send it to me. I've got it online. I'm using my own computer. I care about the taxpayers' money. Has any county commissioner come up to you and said that?
I can't. They haven't said that to me specifically, but I'm not the person that coordinates the mailings, and we have a board liaison individual that the board would communicate if they didn't want those articles sent, if they didn't want mailings to them. Okay. And that wouldn't necessarily go through me. That could very well be happening.
Okay. But if it isn't, and I suspect it isn't, it certainly belies their interest in saving the county money in return for a free computer that they didn't take. And yet they've got a way to save the county money right now by saying, hey, number one, don't print lots of stuff. And number two, hey, I'm in the building twice a week. Let's not send me so many things. Seems to me that would have been a neat thing for the county commissioners to have done to show that they really did care about the taxpayers. But all right, hey, we do have a caller. I believe it's Sue. You're on the line.
Good morning. I have a question for Administrator Hammersley. I wondered when she first talked about how she schedules her priorities with the county. She goes with the county commissioners and the employees when the organizational chart of the county puts the Muskegon County electorate before everything. And then she doesn't feel like she has to answer any questions that we ask at the county commission meetings.
The procedure that's set by the County Board of Commissioners is that the public comment, and that's what you're referring to, correct?
Yes.
Yes, the public comment is 4 questions, and that it is not for debate. And however, if you have attended the county board meetings, there are times when the commission will turn to me and ask me to respond to those questions. I do not respond to questions. I sit at the county board meetings as staff, and I will not. I do not participate in debate, and I do not respond unless the commission requests me to respond to that. And in some cases, they will ask me to respond to that question, or they will ask me to follow up after the meeting. But that's my role sitting with the commission, is I am staff support, and if they feel I should be responding, they will ask me to do so.
I see. I have another comment, too. You mentioned that you are there to fulfill the policies of the county board, and I notice in the purchasing department, the mission of the purchasing office is the timely and efficient procurement of quality goods and services for the use of Muskegon County and its agencies at the lowest price. And I wondered why you were not following through with that before the bids ever got to the county, when the lowest price is the mission statement of the purchasing office.
The mission of the purchasing office is for bids to meet the specifications. Most times when we do not go with the lowest bid, there is a bid that does not meet specifications. However, there are professional services that are not required to meet the lowest bid, and it's an RFP, and it's a request for proposal, which requires an evaluation.
When you get back to your office, you ought to check 1.7 in the purchasing mission statement. That's not what it says. It says at the lowest price.
Well, thank you very much, Susie. Keep calling in. We appreciate it. And we've got another call? Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have another call. Well, sorry to Susie on that one. I'm getting a little wrap-up lingo here. Well, when we come back, we're going to be talking about the vote that happened just this past couple days ago from the Muskegon County's Public Works Board to increase the cost of your wastewater wholesale rates, essentially about almost 56% in the future. So we will be back to continue our conversation with the powerful and eloquent County Administrator Bonnie Hammersley. Give us a call. Join in the discussion, 231-830-3109.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum government. Oh, don't you know? Oh, don't you love them sometimes?
Wow, this place is so adorable. I can't believe we haven't stopped in sooner. Yeah, it's really cute. Betsy, look at these sweaters. 2 for $75, and they look amazing on our girls.
Maybe they would. I'm not sure if it's the right size.
Oh, come on. You know they're perfect. What's wrong?
Suzanne, I have no business being in the store. I should not be shopping. Things are really tight right now.
Tight? Are you and Michael having trouble?
We're behind on our mortgage, and Michael is really worried.
Listen, Bill and I had the same problem a few months ago, and we got some really great counseling, and it was free. I'm going to email you the information as soon as we get home.
Suzanne, you're the best.
If you even think you may be in danger of foreclosure, call the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Certified housing counselors can help you work through your problems, and the service is free. Call the NFCC at 866-687-6322 or visit mortgagehelpnow.org. That's mortgagehelpnow.org. This has been a public service from the NFCC.
This is Mike McCready, Pearl Jam's lead guitarist. For the last 24 years, I've been living with Crohn's disease, a chronic and often painful digestive disease. Luckily, I have my disease under control. But so many of the 1.4 million Americans living with Crohn's and a similar disease called ulcerative colitis live day to day not knowing when their disease will strike next. You can help by joining one of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation's 130 Take Steps walks. Sign up today at cctakesteps.org. Take a step, register today.
What did they do? What did they do to my city? I pushed Michael Yu away from the binoculars and took a look. Hey! In the streets below, traffic had stopped. Pedestrians were lying on sidewalks and curled up in doorways. There was no sign of violence, no wrecks, nothing like that. It was as if the people in New York had simply decided to stop whatever they were doing and pass out. Ice coated my stomach. A line from the prophecy rang in my ears.
And see the world in endless sleep.
Not dead. He has put the entire island of Manhattan to sleep. The invasion has started. To find out what happens next, read Percy Jackson and the Olympians by Rick Riordan. Explore new worlds and check out more cool books at your local library. And visit read.gov. Brought to you by the Library of Congress and the Ad Council.
1090.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you
Okay, we are back again on this beautiful Sunday morning. We're talking with Muskegon County Administrator Bonnie Hammersley, and we are talking about our county, Muskegon. We've got about 15 minutes left, so give us a call at 231-830-3109. You got a chance to be on the radio, folks. I mentioned before the break that we were going to talk a little bit about the Wastewater Management Committee voted, and then the Public Works Committee voted. The combined increase in the wastewater, these are wholesale prices now, but the combined increase is almost a double from what it was a couple years ago to what it will be in the next 5 years. This is a monster increase, and obviously it affects the citizens, the people who live in houses and trailers, and certainly at one point or another it'll affect people who live in condos and who live in apartments and all, and it certainly is going to affect businesses. This is again almost a doubling of the cost of the service. Now, before the Public Works Board voted just this past week to increase a 21.5% increase, followed by 6.4, 6.4, 6.4, 6.4. There was a fairly animated discussion, and Commissioner Scott Plummer said something which really kind of stood out to me. He said, in essence, he said, well, this is really the bad thing. They were the commissioners were angst-ridden about increasing these costs, but he said it's really nobody's fault. And that kind of struck with me. Is Muskegon County, I mean, if it's nobody's fault, if it was going to happen, are we just a hard luck county? Are things like this going to happen? I mean, it's no human being was involved in the decisions that led us to this. Are we just bad luck?
The Muskegon County wastewater system was built, as you know, back in the 70s. As the system evolved, decisions were made along the way as to what the basis of the system would be in supporting it. One of the issues that, which is not uncommon to Muskegon County, is industry. And the system was built for industry. Had it been built for communities, it wouldn't have been built as large as it was.
Because it was called, at the time, I recall, you never talked about the Muskegon County wastewater system without saying the world-class wastewater system.
Right, because it was built. We're currently at 28% of flow. We have a 43 million gallon a day capacity. We're at 12 million gallons a day right now. The system is a large system. It takes a large staff to support that system, whether there's 1 million gallon a day or 33 million gallons a day. You have the infrastructure which takes support. The challenge is, however, we have cut staff in the last 10 years. It's up in the 35, I don't know the exact number. There's been a number of staff that have been cut through attrition over the years and taking advantage of technology. However, we're at a point now that we're still looking at other opportunities, but we do other opportunities for efficiencies, but there are other positions out there that support the system but not directly support the system. For example, we have a 5,000-acre farm that we sell corn, soybeans, and that the return that we get on those crops helps support that system.
I just heard somebody talking about the farm, and this changes the subject. Surely
That's correct.
So wouldn't it be a lot less expensive? I mean, union employees, typical possible way that you could produce corn, for instance.
I think, and I the numbers that work on the farm, I'm thinking we have 4 staff that work on the farm, 4 staff that cover 5,000 acres, which is because of that we have, we're able to efficiently do that.
But other people have technology also. Why wouldn't we just simply lease the land?
Prices and
even after the cost of producing it? You mean the net or
the
just
net? The net revenue that we receive helps supplement, and that net revenue helps the taxpayers of Muskegon County to offset the cost of the wastewater system.
So, let me just go back here, because it doesn't make any sense to me, and I threw this with me. Most farms don't pay the kind of pay that our union farmer with his own group could do. What do these guys do in the winter? There isn't farming going on in the winter.
There's always work going on in a farm. It's like saying, what does a farmer do in the winter?
Well, they don't have all their pickers.
My brother's a farmer. I grew up on a farm. We worked year-round, and we had to work year-round.
Okay, so these guys work year-round on the farm.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's get back to the situation with the wastewater treatment center. And we've got, you said, about a quarter of the typical flow.
28%.
Okay. Is doubling the cost of that service going to help bring in more businesses? Because, as you say, it's an industrial. It was intended to be industrial. Is doubling the cost of that service going to encourage more people to use it?
I can't answer that. I don't know.
Well, I can tell you it won't, because the cost of anything, you're likely to have far fewer users
also,
of that.
If you double the cost of something that is, and I wouldn't say that we're doubling the cost. The percentages are high because the numbers.
So there was a 25% increase in the last 2 years, and then we have a 21.5 plus the 6.4 is going on. That, as you multiply on top of each other, which is the way you work the numbers, is 194.6% increase from what it was 2 years. Nobody's fault. Frankly, I'm stunned, because we have a situation here now where we're going to double the cost of this service that is already at 28% capacity. Only the citizens who have to pay their bills, and most certainly the businesses. If it's nobody's fault, if we are just a hard luck county, then this kind of thing will happen again. Now, Commissioner John Snyder about it. So, anyone who's lived in Muskegon, I know you're new here, but anyone who's lived in Muskegon knows at least for the last 10 years, probably longer than that, various groups have been at war with the paper mill and its various names, Sappy and S.D. Warren and others. From the environmentalists, from the lawyers, I know people who live in Lakeside who all got checks out of in the Lakeside area because of some problem. I don't know if it's a noise or smell or something. We know the unions, and I've heard myself many union members say, we don't care if we take this darn, give in to our demands, screw them. Sappy has been a long-standing war that was ultimately won by the forces that wanted Sappy out of our community. This is not something that just happened. It's not something where it seems to me that the people, this wasn't your vote. It really bothers me when I hear people say, we vote the 11 commissioners. I believe all but one voted for it, all but two. Yes, they're going to pay a little, but the people who are really going to suffer are going to be the citizens of Muskegon County and the businesses in Muskegon County, who I'm sure closely. By the way, has there been any kind of study, any communication from the county to the largest users? You probably off the top of your head have the two or three, the largest. Has there been communication between them as to what they're going to do in the face of this in this case, this new 55.5% increase?
I have not had any contact with them. I can't speak for the commissioners. They may have had contact with them, and the municipal users group may have had contact with them as well.
Okay, well, I wish there was more more information on that particular. We are victims then, and unfortunately, we have a couple more minutes here, and we're not going to be able to get too deeply into the union and non-union contracts were voted on this past week, and health plans, and they essentially were saying that these were rushed through, pushed through, in order to get under the deadline that the governor had specifically said would require good governance, in other words, the 80-20 rule. These were pushed through without the typical committee meetings, without the public disclosure. Matter of fact, I know some of the county commissioners had not even seen any of the information before they went into the committee meeting.
The process that was followed was there was a response to these it was the commissioners were informed through closed sessions throughout the entire the unions. We could not release any information on the contracts publicly until contracts are publicly ratified. They were not ratified until Sunday evening prior to concern of the community. I appreciate the concern of taxpayers regarding how it looked from the outside. I would say that this was a very intense and closely followed process. These last union contracts, and the commissioners were kept informed throughout the entire process.
Well, it wasn't followed at all for those. And then click on podcast. You can listen to the show anytime, any place. Invite your friends to join our community conversation. We need listeners and callers if we ever hope to affect real change for the positive here in Hammersley. Next Sunday, October 9, your wastewater sewer bills, as we've been talking about, they've been skyrocketing, and you hate.
Got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you that gum government. Oh, don't you love them sometimes? Hey, boy.
If you've settled a lawsuit, waiting for those tiny settlement checks every month is like a slow form of torture. A little bit of money comes dribbling in, but it's not nearly enough to cover your bills. So the pain of being in debt just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But now you can end the wait by getting the cash you need in one lump sum payment. For free information to see how much cash you can get, call Peachtree Settlement Funding now at 1-800-403-7284. You can get the cash you need in one lump sum. Cash you can use to pay off your credit card debt, pay your monthly mortgage payment, or pay any other bills that are piling up. So stop waiting for those tiny monthly payments from a lawsuit you settled.